Shortly thereafter, she sent for me to come and live with them, while Johnny remained with our dad. The time in London was a radical awakening for me. The city was filthy with soot and grey with fog, and I was unsettled by this new man in my mother's life. He was large, loud, and volatile, and as ill at ease with me as I was with him. My basement room in our apartment was hot and sterile, with bars on the windows. At night, rats ran across the exposed pipes. Air raid sirens wailed often, and we were required to employ blackout curtains and keep all lights off after dark. Bombing raids became a regular occurrence, and we were frequently forced to retreat to the underground subway stations for shelter. After my mother moved away, my Aunt Joan married her boyfriend, Bill Wilby. Because of the war effort, my dad had been assigned to work in a converted factory, making parts for Spitfire aircraft, and there he met a young widow named Winifred. By this time, Mum was pregnant with my half-brother Donald, and not long thereafter she married Ted Andrews, and Dad married Win. Mum and Ted decided that my name should be changed from Julia Wells to Julie Andrews, and that I should call my new stepfather Pop, presumably to make us feel more like a family. In the spring of 1943, Mum, Pop, Donald and I moved out of London to a suburban part of Kent. Pop began giving me singing lessons, perhaps in an attempt to bond with his new stepdaughter, perhaps to give me something to do since my school had shut down briefly due to the escalation of the war. I disliked these lessons intensely. I was shy and embarrassed, but Mum and Pop were surprised to discover that I had a strong soprano voice, quite unique for my age. Our new home in Kent had an air raid shelter in the garden, and as the war continued, we often spent nights out there. By mid-1944, the Germans were sending doodlebugs to England. These were pilotless flying bombs that came across the English Channel, cut out over their target, and plummeted to Earth. I could tell the difference between the sound of these doodlebugs approaching and our own fighter planes. The air raid sirens became so constant that they prevented families from accomplishing the most basic of tasks, making dinner, doing the laundry. My mother came up with the idea that I should sit on top of the air raid shelter with a pair of opera glasses and a whistle. Whenever I heard a doodlebug approaching, I would blow the whistle, giving my mother, and as it turned out many other neighborhood homemakers, time to finish a chore before running to take shelter. I was on duty in all weathers. One rainy day, I rebelled and stayed in the house. After the bomb dropped, several neighbors came to the door, demanding, "Why the hell didn't she blow her whistle?" My dad, Win, and Johnny moved to Chessington, about an hour away from us. I visited when I could, which was not often. Returning home from those visits was always emotionally painful. By age 9.5, my singing voice had improved so much that I began taking lessons with Pop's voice teacher, Madam Lillian Stiles Allen. Madam, an esteemed dramatic soprano, was short and stout, with a kindly nature. She was a phenomenal teacher with whom I studied for many years. She provided me with a solid technical foundation that carried me through the decades that followed. Soon after the war ended in 1945, I began to travel with Mum and Pop as they toured in vaudeville. I was struck by the contrast between the glamorous appearance of life in the theatre and the rather shabby reality of it backstage. Just before my 10th birthday, Mum and Pop invited me to join them on stage during one of their performances. I stood on a beer crate in order to reach the microphone and sang a duet with Pop while Mum accompanied us at the piano. Little by little, I began to join their act more often. Back at school, I struggled to find my place socially, ever aware of my bandy legs, buck teeth, and lazy eye, along with my ineptitude at sports. On Saturday mornings, whenever